Prince Harry's life has been a wild ride, royal privilege, military grit, and a rebellious streak that kept the world watching. He's faced intense scrutiny, personal battles, and moments that shook the very core of the British monarchy. But nothing could have prepared us for this. Now, at 40, Prince Harry is finally confessing what we all suspected. Before we dive into his shocking revelation, let's rewind and uncover the twists and turns that led to this moment. The royal love story that was never meant to be. It was supposed to be the ultimate fairy tale, the perfect royal romance, a future king and his beautiful bride, watched by millions around the world. But behind the dazzling wedding, the breathtaking gown, and the public adoration, a much darker reality was unfolding. The marriage of Prince Charles and Princess Diana wasn't built on love. It was built on duty, expectations, and a heartbreaking secret that would ultimately tear them apart. Diana, just 20 years old and inexperienced in royal life, fell deeply in love with the man she believed was her Prince Charming. But what she didn't know was that Charles's heart had never truly belonged to her. Long before Diana entered the picture, there was another woman, Camilla Parker Bowles. And despite marrying Diana, Charles never let her go. Almost from the start, cracks in their marriage began to show. Diana, eager to be the perfect wife and future queen, did everything she could to please her husband and fit into the royal world. But it soon became painfully clear. She was in a marriage with 3 people. Charles's continued emotional attachment to Camilla left Diana feeling isolated, heartbroken, and betrayed. As the media's obsession with the couple grew, their private struggles became public spectacles. The world watched as Diana, ever the people's princess, tried to navigate a life filled with scrutiny, expectation, and deep personal pain. Over time, the whispers of infidelity turned into full-blown scandals, and the illusion of a fairy tale crumbled before everyone's eyes. And what came next? A revelation so shocking, it would shake the very foundation of the British monarchy. Take a moment to settle in, grab a cup of tea or coffee, and join us as we dive into this incredible story. The royal marriage crumbles. At first, Diana was the picture of grace, beauty, and elegance, the perfect princess in the eyes of the public. But behind the scenes, the weight of her failing marriage was beginning to show. As her emotional pain grew harder to hide, she started speaking more openly about her struggles, sending shockwaves through the royal family and the world. Meanwhile, Charles's relationship with Camilla was no longer a well-kept secret. Reports of secret phone calls, private meetings, and whispered conversations started leaking to the press. What had once been hidden in the shadows was now creeping into the public eye, and the tension between Charles and Diana was impossible to ignore. During royal engagements, their once effortless chemistry was replaced with cold distance. Diana, despite her personal turmoil, remained dedicated to her royal duties, captivating the public with her warmth and compassion. But behind the smiles and charitable appearances, she was suffering. Charles, on the other hand, seemed increasingly detached, his focus shifting away from his wife and on to the woman he had never stopped loving. As the years passed, their marriage became an open secret. The world watched as Diana's heartbreak unfolded in real time. Sympathy for her grew, while public opinion of Charles and Camilla soured. The fairy tale was long over, and the truth was finally coming to light. For Diana, the emotional toll was devastating. In later interviews, she would reveal how deeply isolated and unsupported she felt, not just in her marriage, but within the royal family itself. The pain of betrayal, loneliness, and relentless public scrutiny began to take its toll, leaving behind scars that would never truly heal. The scandal that ended it all. The final blow to Charles and Diana's marriage came in 1992, with the release of Diana, Her True Story, a shocking tell-all book by journalist Andrew Morton. For the first time, Diana's voice was heard, revealing the heartbreaking reality of her life behind palace doors. She spoke candidly about her struggles, her suffering, and, most explosively, Charles's long-standing affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. The world was stunned. The royal family, already under immense public scrutiny, could no longer ignore the growing rift between the couple. Shortly after, Buckingham Palace made a formal announcement. With regret, the Prince and Princess of Wales have decided to separate. Their Royal Highnesses have no plans to divorce, and their constitutional positions are unaffected. The separation was official, but it was far from the end. The divorce proceedings dragged on, filled with tension and media frenzy. Diana, deeply wounded by Charles's betrayal, tried to move forward, while Charles remained entangled with Camilla, a relationship that was still too controversial for the public to fully accept. Despite the separation, the royal family desperately tried to maintain a united front. Diana, ever the people's princess, only grew more beloved by the public, her popularity soaring to new heights. Charles, however, faced a tougher road. His ongoing relationship with Camilla was widely criticized, with many blaming her for the downfall of his marriage. For years, Charles and Camilla kept their romance behind closed doors, weathering intense public backlash. But even as they remained out of the spotlight, one thing was clear. This was a love that had never truly ended. The fallout in Diana's revenge. By 1996, the divorce of Prince Charles and Princess Diana was finalized, bringing an official end to one of the most turbulent royal marriages in history. The fallout was massive, not just for the couple, but for the entire British monarchy. The media frenzy surrounding their personal lives never truly died down, and public opinion remained sharply divided. Charles, after years of criticism and public disapproval, finally married Camilla in 2005. While the union was seen as a resolution to the long-running love triangle, it did little to erase the scars left by his infidelity. For many, the memory of Diana, the beloved people's princess, still loomed large, and the world never truly forgot the pain she endured. But what many people didn't know about Charles and Diana's marriage has only recently come to light, secrets that even Prince Harry has confirmed. But more on that later. After her separation from Charles, Diana's life was a whirlwind of media attention, humanitarian work, and personal struggles. However, one of the most controversial aspects of her post-marriage life was her own secret affair, one that many saw as her way of reclaiming power in a marriage that had been riddled with betrayal. Enter James Hewitt. A former cavalry officer, Hewitt became one of the most significant figures in Diana's personal life during the late 1980s and early 1990s. Their relationship, which began while she was still married to Charles, was no ordinary fling. It was a deep and passionate connection that would later fuel endless speculation and controversy. But who exactly was James Hewitt, and how did he become such an integral part of Diana's life? The truth behind their relationship is more shocking than anyone could have imagined. If you found this story interesting, drop a 1 in the comments, and if you have a different take, let me know with a 0. Your thoughts matter. James Hewitt, the man behind the scandal. Born into privilege on April 30th, 1958, in Durham, England, James Hewitt came from a distinguished family with deep military roots. His father was a businessman, but the Hewitt legacy was one of service, and James followed suit. Educated at elite institutions like the Dragon School in Oxford and Eton College, he was destined for a prestigious career. After completing his education, Hewitt joined the British Army, where he quickly rose through the ranks. Commissioned as an officer in the Royal Artillery, he later trained as a tank commander at the prestigious Sandhurst Military Academy. Known for his charm, good looks, and athleticism, Hewitt was well-liked among his peers, but it was his military career and royal connections that would change his life forever. It was during this time that he crossed paths with Princess Diana, setting the stage for one of the most infamous royal scandals of all time. Diana and James Hewitt, a forbidden love. Diana first met James Hewitt while he was serving as an instructor for the Household Cavalry, one of the most prestigious divisions of the British Army. At the time, she was still married to Prince Charles, but their relationship was in ruins. She felt isolated, neglected, and emotionally abandoned, while Charles had already rekindled his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. Diana, trapped in a marriage that offered her no love or support, was left to suffer in silence until she met James. From the moment they met, there was an undeniable spark between them. Hewitt, with his charm, confidence, and good looks, was a stark contrast to the cold and distant royal world Diana had been struggling to survive in. He offered her something she had desperately craved: genuine companionship and emotional support. What started as a friendship soon blossomed into a deep and passionate love affair. For a time, Diana and Hewitt managed to keep their relationship a secret, carefully avoiding the ever-present eyes of the press. They met in private, away from the public glare, and for the first time in years, Diana felt truly seen, heard, and loved. But secrets don't stay hidden for long, especially when they involve one of the most famous women in the world. Rumors of the affair began circulating, and by 1992, the truth was out. The British tabloids, already obsessed with Diana and Charles's failing marriage, pounced on the scandal. Headlines splashed across newspapers, dissecting every detail of Diana's relationship with Hewitt. The public was captivated. Was this an act of revenge against Charles, or had Diana truly found love outside of her royal duties? For many, Diana's relationship with Hewitt was more than just a love affair. It was a symbol of her rebellion, her defiance, and her fight to take control of her own narrative. After years of enduring Charles's infidelity, she was no longer willing to suffer in silence. She had found someone who made her feel valued, and she wasn't going to hide it forever. But while the affair gave Diana a sense of independence and empowerment, it also came at a cost. The royal family, already shaken by the turmoil in her marriage, now faced another scandal that threatened its carefully crafted image. The press hounded her more than ever, dissecting her every move, and the public remained divided. Some saw her as a wronged woman seeking justice, while others criticized her for stepping outside the royal mold. Diana and James Hewitt, a love that couldn't last. Despite the passion and comfort Diana found in her relationship with James Hewitt, their love was never free from challenges. The constant media attention that had already plagued Diana throughout her marriage to Charles only intensified when news of her affair broke. Suddenly, Hewitt, who had initially enjoyed the attention that came with being linked to the most famous woman in the world, found himself under relentless scrutiny. The paparazzi followed their every move. Headlines dissected every aspect of their romance, and the pressure of public opinion weighed heavily on them both. Diana, who had turned to James for emotional support during the darkest days of her marriage, now faced yet another struggle, one that made it nearly impossible for their relationship to survive. For several years, Diana and James remained together, defying the odds. But as time went on, their relationship began to cool. Hewitt, once her rock, found himself caught in the whirlwind of fame and controversy, while Diana's life remained filled with turmoil, especially as her strained relationship with Charles continued to affect her even after their separation. By the early 1990s, it became clear that their love affair was no longer sustainable. In 1992, they officially ended their relationship, going their separate ways. For Diana, the affair had been more than just romance. It had been a way to reclaim her independence and assert control over her happiness after years of feeling powerless in her marriage. James, after parting ways with Diana, returned to his military career for a time before eventually moving on to other ventures. But like so many who had been close to Diana, he would forever be a part of the larger narrative of her life after Charles. Their love story, however fleeting, became a symbol of her search for love, happiness, and emotional fulfillment. However, their relationship left behind something much bigger than just memories. A rumor, one that would haunt the British monarchy for years to come. Two confused boys, the hidden toll on Harry and William. Prince Harry's early years were anything but carefree. While the world focused on the dramatic breakdown of his parents' marriage, behind palace walls, the emotional impact on him and his older brother, Prince William, was profound. Born in 1984, Harry was just a young child when the tension between Charles and Diana reached its peak. His older brother William, born 2 years earlier, was slightly more aware of the situation, but neither boy could escape the turbulence that came with being at the center of one of the most publicized royal scandals in history. For Harry, his father's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles wasn't just a tabloid headline. It was a personal betrayal that shattered the only family he had ever known. While he may not have fully understood the complexities of his parents' relationship, he could sense the pain, the distance, and the heartbreak. The emotional toll on Diana, who had spent years feeling isolated and neglected within the royal family, was something Harry witnessed firsthand. He, like William, watched as their once united family crumbled before their eyes. The fairy tale image of royalty was gone, replaced by whispered conversations, tense public appearances, and a growing awareness that life as they knew it would never be the same. What Harry didn't know at the time, however, was that the chaos of his childhood was only the beginning, and that the secrets surrounding his family would follow him for the rest of his life. A royal childhood in chaos. By the early 1990s, the unraveling of Charles and Diana's marriage had become front-page news. The media, always obsessed with the royal family, turned its relentless attention to the growing tensions between the couple. Every detail, Diana's struggles with mental health, her own affairs, and the emotional neglect she suffered at the hands of Charles, became tabloid fodder. For their children, it was an unbearable reality. Harry and William were too young to control the narrative surrounding their family, but they had no choice but to live in its shadow. The pressure was inescapable. Harry was only 10 years old when his parents officially separated in 1992. At that age, he couldn't fully understand the complexities of their failing marriage, but he could feel the weight of it, the tension, the sadness, the way everything was changing around him. His father, once a figure of authority and tradition, now felt distant. The knowledge that Charles had betrayed his mother wasn't just something the press talked about. It was something Harry deeply felt. His relationship with Charles, already strained, only grew more complicated. How could he reconcile the image of his father, the future King of England, with the man who had caused his mother so much pain? The answers wouldn't come easily, and the wounds left by his childhood would shape the rest of his life in ways no one could have predicted. Thank you for sticking with us and following along. Leave a 2 in the comments to let me know you're still here. A prince in turmoil. While William, as the older brother, often took on the role of protector and mediator, Harry struggled more openly with the fallout of his parents' divorce. He acted out in ways that would later become infamous, a clear sign of the deep pain he was carrying. As a young boy, Harry had a particularly difficult time accepting the reality of his parents' divorce, especially his father's infidelity. The 1996 divorce was not just a private family matter, it was a spectacle. Both Charles and Diana publicly aired their grievances through interviews, memoirs, and carefully worded statements, making their crumbling relationship the subject of endless media scrutiny. And caught in the middle of it all were their two sons. For Harry, the divorce wasn't just the end of his parents' marriage. It was the beginning of a more complicated and conflicted relationship with the monarchy itself. As he grew older, the expectations placed upon him as a royal became harder to bear, tangled in the painful memories of his childhood. While William was being groomed for his future role as king, Harry, feeling lost in the shadow of duty, became increasingly rebellious. At school, he was known for his mischievous behavior and defiance of royal protocol. He struggled to conform to the rigid expectations of the royal family, instead seeking ways to break free from the weight of his title. The media only made things worse, constantly comparing him to William and painting him as the wild prince. Every move he made was watched, analyzed, and turned into a headline. Despite this, Diana remained a strong presence in her sons' lives, doing everything she could to shield them from the chaos. She gave them unconditional love, support, and as much normalcy as possible. But even she was exhausted by the never-ending battle for her own independence. Her struggles with mental health and the relentless public attention took a toll, making it even harder for her to fully protect Harry and William from the pressures surrounding them. Harry's relationship with his father only grew more strained after the divorce. Charles, often seen as emotionally distant and unavailable, struggled to connect with his younger son. As Harry entered his teenage years, this lack of closeness left him feeling isolated and misunderstood, fueling his growing defiance. But what hurt Harry the most wasn't just the emotional distance, the media pressure, or the burden of being the spare. It was something far more gruesome, something he has only recently come forward about. The truth he revealed has shaken the world. Prince Harry's shocking revelation. For years, rumors swirled around the British royal family, particularly about Prince Harry's paternity. A controversial and persistent theory, widely reported by the press, suggested that Major James Hewitt, a former British Army officer and Diana's lover, might have been Harry's biological father. This idea wasn't just a passing tabloid rumor, it became a deeply entrenched narrative, amplified by the striking physical similarities between Harry and Hewitt, as well as their shared military background. Even Harry himself was led to believe this was the truth. James Hewitt became a well-known figure in the 1980s, largely due to his relationship with Diana. Their affair lasted for several years and became one of the most sensational stories surrounding the royal family. As a member of the British Army, Hewitt was seen as a strong, rugged man, a far cry from the more reserved and distant Prince Charles. The theory about Hewitt being Harry's father gained momentum due to several factors, with the most obvious being their similar physical features. Harry's red hair, a distinctive trait he shares with Hewitt, was one of the key points that fueled the rumors. The resemblance seemed so striking that people began to speculate whether there was more to it than just coincidence. The media fanned the flames, constantly comparing photos of Harry and Hewitt, pointing out their uncanny similarities. Another factor that contributed to the rumors was the fact that both Harry and Hewitt had a strong connection to the military. Harry served in the British Army, rising through the ranks and becoming known for his work in the armed forces, including serving on the front lines in Afghanistan. The press saw this parallel as another point of comparison with Hewitt, who had also served in the military. The affair between Diana and Hewitt was well documented, and many questioned the official timeline. Diana had admitted to the relationship, but claimed it began in 1986, 2 years after Harry was born in 1984. Skeptics, however, doubted this and believed their romance may have started earlier, making the theory even more believable. Harry's own beliefs about his paternity were complicated by the media attention. For a time, he believed the rumors about Hewitt being his father. Growing up under constant speculation, with headlines questioning whether he was truly a Windsor, took a toll on him. But what he has revealed recently has finally put the rumors to rest, and the truth is even more shocking than anyone expected. Prince Harry breaks his silence. The constant barrage of press coverage surrounding Diana's affair with James Hewitt was more than just tabloid gossip. It was a source of deep personal pain for Prince Harry. Growing up in the middle of one of the most publicized family dramas in history, he was forced to navigate the complexities of royal life while constantly being confronted with speculation about his own identity. For years, Harry struggled with the idea that Hewitt might actually be his father. The rumors were so widespread, so insistent, that they became almost an accepted part of his story. The media painted it as fact, constantly fueling speculation with comparisons between Harry and Hewitt's strikingly similar red hair and shared military background. It wasn't just the public questioning his paternity. Harry himself began to wonder if there was truth to it. Now, at 40, Prince Harry has finally admitted what many had long suspected. The truth about his paternity became clearer to him over time. By 2014, he fully understood that Diana and Hewitt's affair hadn't even begun until after his birth. Diana had met Hewitt in 1986, 2 years after Harry was born in 1984, making it biologically impossible for him to be Harry's father. This simple fact, based on undeniable timelines, was a key point that Harry later addressed publicly. In breaking news, Harry stated, "Despite the media forcing this rumor, he's not my biological father, and it was easily proven. He made it clear his father was, without question, Prince Charles." Yet, despite this definitive statement, the rumors refused to die. The press, unwilling to let go of the controversy, continued to spread the false narrative, infuriating Harry. Even as undeniable evidence proved the rumors false, the media continued to push the scandal, refusing to back down. The relentless speculation became so overwhelming that Harry eventually decided to take legal action against specific media outlets that had repeatedly published false claims about his paternity. For Harry, this wasn't just about setting the record straight. It was about reclaiming his truth. The rumors about Hewitt, though proven false, had caused him significant emotional distress and continued to haunt him even into adulthood. Now, he is determined to hold those responsible accountable and put an end to the false narrative once and for all. The battle against the media. Despite Prince Harry's clear and public denial of the rumors, the media refused to let go. The tabloid industry, which had thrived on sensationalizing royal scandals for decades, saw the controversy as too profitable to abandon. Even as Harry set the record straight, headlines continued to question his paternity, recycling the same false narratives and stoking public curiosity. The relentless speculation took a toll on Harry's mental health. Having spent his entire life under intense public scrutiny, he had grown accustomed to the press invading his personal space. But the rumors about his paternity felt different. It wasn't just about public perception. It was about his identity, his place within the royal family, and the deeply personal pain of losing his mother at a young age. Determined to put an end to the harassment, Harry took unprecedented legal action against several media outlets that had repeatedly published false stories about his paternity. For him, this wasn't just about setting the record straight. It was about holding the press accountable for the damage they had caused, not just to him, but to his mother before him. The battle against the media became one of the defining fights of Harry's adult life. In multiple lawsuits, he accused certain publications of spreading misinformation, invading his privacy, and even hacking his phone. The legal battle was costly and emotionally draining, but Harry refused to back down. This fight wasn't just personal, it was also symbolic. Harry had witnessed firsthand how the press had contributed to Diana's struggles, how they had chased her relentlessly, turning her into both an icon and a target. Now, years later, they were doing the same to him. For Harry, this legal battle wasn't just about correcting a false rumor. It was about reclaiming his narrative, standing up for himself, and breaking free from the toxic cycle of media exploitation that had plagued his family for generations. But as he fought back, the royal family's response, or lack thereof, only raised more questions. Why had they remained silent while Harry was under attack? And was this just another example of history repeating itself? I'd love to know what royal story you want to explore next. Share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll feature them in an upcoming video.